Alright, so week 15 games this week. The best ones to watch was surprisingly the Jets and Jags, two teams that are no longer in it, but it was just like a fun game. Mac Jones and Aaron Rodgers were just having a good old time throwing the ball around. Didn't think that would be the best game of the week, but it was. Bills and Lions, not quite as good as the Lions and Packers. The Bills got out to an early lead, but it was still pretty close. The Lions were hanging in there, and I think it was still the second most entertaining game for the week. Colts Broncos was a close one. Two teams trying to make it to playoffs. And Steelers and Eagles, two teams fighting for the number one seed. Definitely a close one as well. Bucks and Chargers was good up until like the third quarter, fourth quarter. The Buccaneers just broke away and scored like 21 unanswered. But the first half was good. Commanders Saints was a close one. It was a bit of a weird one where the Commanders got to an early lead at the half, but then the second half was all the Saints almost trying to catch up. Falcons Raiders. The Falcons were always kind of in the lead, but the Raiders had a shot. They had like the last drive of the game, could have won them if they made their Hail Mary. Bears and Vikings wasn't too bad either. The Vikings got out to a good lead, but the Bears were always kind of at least hanging in there. They always had a chance. They were like one score. I think they were two scores away from winning at the end, but it wasn't too bad. The worst games, though, it wasn't the best week of games, admittedly. Patriots and Cardinals. The Cardinals blew them out. Bengals Titans. The Bengals blew them out. Dolphins Texans was close, but it was really ugly, and you just felt bad for the Dolphins. Tua did not have a good game. And Rams Niners Thursday night was just one of the worst Thursday night games we've had this season. Just low scoring, very heavy defense. The Rams just put up like 40 on the Bills, and now they can't even score a touchdown on the Niners. But anyways, the worst games would be Packers Seahawks. It was sadly not even close. Ravens Giants. Well, at least we knew that one wouldn't be close. Cowboys Panthers. The Cowboys came to play, and it was just kind of sad to see the Panthers fall apart. And then Chiefs Browns. We were all rooting for the Browns, but this was like the most one-sided game of the week, and to see the Chiefs win, it was just like meh. So ranking these teams, I got the Packers at number 1 and the Bills at number 2. I'm going to swap them. I think the Packers beating the Seahawks was a little more impressive than the Bills beating the Lions, just because of how beat up the Lions' defense is, and the Lions were hanging in that game, whereas the Seahawks got blown out. So I'm going to swap the number 1 and 2 and put the Packers on top. But number 3, I'm bringing the Vikings up. The Vikings keep getting better and better every week. I know they were playing the Raiders, but this was a very decisive win for them. Wait, not the Falcons played they played the Bears. Yeah, another weak team that really wasn't impressive, but it was their best win of the season. And to be hitting it that late when you're in contention for the number 1 spot, it's definitely good. Number 5, though, I'm putting the Buccaneers. They keep getting better and better every week. I think the Buccaneers are beginning a little win streak going on. They'll probably win out the rest of the season. Number 6, I'm putting the Ravens. They had a real good game against the Giants, which we kind of expected, but it feels like they're putting things together late in the season, and I think that they will. They could end up going on a win streak and getting like the number 2 or 3 seed before the end of the season, and could actually end up putting together a good playoff run. But of course, it's too early to know for sure. We'll see how they play against the Steelers. Number 7, I got the Eagles. I think I was too hard on them before. They seem like a top 10 team. Number 8, the Bengals, and 9, the Cowboys. I'm bringing them back. I think Bengals and Cowboys are two teams that are playing like a top 10 team right now, even though it's very unlikely they'll make the playoffs. But it's kind of fun to see them be some of the better teams right now. And number 10, I got the Lions. Their defense is troubling, but I'm actually going to stick them in the top 10 this time. I think they still deserve it despite the loss. Their offense is still amazing. We'll see if they can hold on to the number 1 seed or not. Number 11, I got the Commanders. I decided to drop them out of the top 10, given that they almost allowed the Saints, of all teams, to come back and beat them. So I'm a little worried about the Commanders down the stretch. I think that they could end up slipping out of the playoffs. Number 12, we have the Jets, another team that is not going to make the playoffs, but I think they're looking dangerous, and I think they have a good shot of winning out the rest of the season. and we'll see how they fare against other teams. But for right now, I think the Jets are going to be trying to put things together and get a lot of wins going near the end. They don't really care about the draft too much. 13, the Chiefs, bumping you guys higher. I still don't think you deserve to be too high since you beat up on the Browns, but it was your best win of the season, so I guess I should put you higher than 16 or 20 this week. I'll put you at 13. 14, I got the Cardinals. They looked like they were dead now, the playoffs, and then they came back to life this week against the Patriots in a game that I thought would be a lot closer. But we'll see if they can put anything together. Like the Seahawks, the Rams, and Niners, they're in an easy division. The Cardinals could still put something together. UPS. 15, I got the Rams. They're currently leading the division, but that was a really ugly game against the Niners. I don't feel good putting them any higher. 16, the Texans. They're gonna win the division and make the playoffs, but they're looking ugly. They're looking like they're gonna do it by default. 17, the Niners, dropping, like I said, with the Rams, just the Niners and the Rams offense just did not click this week, and it's making me think they don't deserve to make the playoffs. Number 18, we got the Colts, down on the Colts. I thought they'd go on a win streak. I thought they'd be like a top 10 team going down the stretch, but it looks like they are dead in the water, and the Texans are gonna win the division. 19, right behind them, I got the Saints, another team that's not making the playoffs, but they still look kind of dangerous. 20, I'm dropping the Dolphins. I'm not high on them anymore. I think that that was an ugly loss, and I don't think they'll be able to pull off the win streak at the end now. I think this was kind of like the elimination game. They're still in it technically, but I think they're basically eliminated. 21, the Falcons, bumping them a lot higher, given the win against the Raiders, but it was the Raiders, and it was an ugly win, so they don't look like a playoff team. They look like a team that's going to miss the playoffs, and playing like that, they really should, but for now, I'll bump them up a little higher. 22, the Seahawks. 23, the Steelers, two teams that I was really high on, and they're looking real rough right now. Hopefully they can bounce back in the last few games of the season. The Steelers should still make the postseason, but the Seahawks, I think, might just miss out if they look like that. 24, the Titans. 25, the Jaguars, two teams in the South that are just kind of eh. 26, the Chargers, dropping you guys after a rough loss to the Bucks. I don't feel good about the Chargers making the postseason anymore after that game. You got the Bengals and the Dolphins technically still right there, and the Colts waiting to take that spot if the Chargers don't charge it like they do, but they definitely charged it this game. 27, the Patriots. 28, the Raiders. 29, the Panthers. Feels bad to put them this low, but their win streak seems to have died out. The optimism around Bryce Young and the offense seems to be gone now. Sadly. 30, I got the Browns. Optimism around Jameis Winston also seems to be down. But I'm still keeping 31, the Giants, and 32, the Bears. The only reason the Bears are lower than the Giants is because they're not going to win the Tank Bowl, and the Giants have a good shot of getting the number 1 seed. The Bears are going to end up with like the 10th pick when they desperately need a first-round pick for reals this time. But looking forward to games this week. We got Broncos-Chargers. I'm picking the Broncos. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos fumble it. They looked a little rough this week against the Colts, and they were like Bo Nix threw like 3 interceptions, I think. And the Chargers might be looking for a good bounce back win, but how they're looking now, I think the Broncos could destroy the Chargers and take second place in the division. Texans Chiefs. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, even though I'm rooting for the Texans, but the Texans look rough right now, and the Chiefs are looking hot at the end. Steelers and Ravens. I'll pick the Ravens. I think they'll go 1-1 this season, and the Ravens are looking a lot better than they did a couple weeks ago. The Steelers are looking a lot worse than they did a couple weeks ago, so I could see this be a Baltimore revenge game. Falcons Giants. Picking the Falcons to get another easy win. They're lucky they're playing weak teams at the end of the stretch, but I think the Falcons can win this one too. Cardinals and Panthers. Let's pick the Cardinals. I'm not high on the Panthers after that rough game. They just got destroyed by the Cowboys of all teams, so I'll pick the Cardinals here. Titans Colts. I'll pick the Colts. I think they're still struggling to make the postseason. The Titans are kind of just like, whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans win it. Lions Bears. I'll pick the Lions. The Bears just seem out of it at this point. I think it'll be an easy win for the Lions to kind of put themselves back in the playoff #1 picture. Rams and Jets. I'll pick the Jets, even though I think it'll be very close. This might be game of the week. But the Jets look real good against the Jaguars, and I know the Rams have a lot to play for, but the Jets are just having fun and trying to get some wins, and I feel like they could be a good competition against that Rams team that really struggled against San Francisco. Eagles Commanders. I'll pick the Commanders to get revenge on the Eagles. The Commanders haven't been looking too good lately, though. They struggle against the Saints, so I'd be not at all surprised for the Eagles to win it, but I want to see these teams go 1-1 and maybe play each other in the postseason. Browns and Bengals. I'll pick the Bengals. I think they're holding on to a playoff run, and the Browns are just kind of out of it. Seahawks and Vikings. I'll pick the Vikings. If the Seahawks had beaten the Packers, I'd pick them against the Vikings, but the Seahawks seem to be struggling with the North. We've already lost to the Lions and the Packers now, and we play the Bears coming up. I'm pretty sure we'll lose to them too, knowing how this has been going. Patriots and Bills. I'll pick the Bills. The Patriots are not on their level right now. The 49ers and Dolphins. I'll pick the Dolphins. I think the 49ers are looking rough right now, and the Dolphins are really trying to just hold on to any playoff hope. So I guess the Niners are too. I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners win, but I guess I'm just rooting for the Dolphins. Cowboys and Bucks. I'll pick the Bucks. They look good right now. The Cowboys did get a win against the Panthers, but I think the Bucks are in the middle of a hot streak at the end. Jaguars and Raiders. I'll pick the Raiders, although this will be a fun tank bowl to watch. And the last game, Saints and Packers. That should be a blowout win by the Packers. Easy win.